So he's 5'10". He's a small 170. He's 5'10". His opponent's 6'4". I'm like, okay, this is gonna be intense. But I just want send good juju to a fellow New Englander. I believe it's fight number 2 for him for the UFC. So
I think that's right. Yeah.
So we're sending good juju that way.
Yeah.
Talking about sending good juju to this person every time she comes on a Fight Bananas, and when she's even not, it's probably like a Wednesday afternoon. She's like, "Wait, what's all this good juju coming? I'm just eating lunch." That's from Fight Bananas. That's from us. We sent to her all the time on a normal day. Talking about the one and only UFC record holder, Gillian the Savage Robertson.
I knew I was feeling something.
Yeah.
Must have been that good juju.
Pushing it out into the universe towards Miami.
Towards Miami.
Okay, so speaking of Miami and like how gorgeous it probably is in Florida, y'all, it is 75 degrees in Rhode Island. So I'm going to go enjoy the sunshine for a hot second because it's going to be 55 degrees tomorrow. So
maybe you could be here with us enjoying 80-degree weather year round.
Listen, I'm fucking up. I know I am. But it is 75 and sunny. I'm going to go outside. I'm going to be outside. Gillian, I'm so good to see you.
Depression.
Yes, I'm going to go cure my seasonal depression in about 20 minutes with just some vitamin D. So I'll see you guys soon.
Later, Maddie.
Bye.
Great hair day, by the way. Great hair day by Maddie. There you go. She killed it. Gillian Robertson, you look amazing. You look awesome. I'm just throwing that out the back. I feel like you're getting some of that sun too. You're getting that mojo. You look amazing, G.
I appreciate it. I'm feeling exhausted. I feel like the next 8 weeks, this is about the same page we're gonna be on. You know, every time you guys gonna be like, "How you doing today?" I'm just tired. Every single day. I'm gonna post a video later today about like what my typical day consists of in a fight camp. But I'm like, that's just it's a lot.
I feel you. I had like 4 things for you quick, and we will get into them in a second. But this is a great question. I love talking to people that's in the chat and asking questions. Mustafa goes, what is your expectations for Pierre Jones fight if it happens? I'll let you two guys go first. I got my own, but
that's a fight I was wishing was happening. Like I was hearing like rumors and wishing it was happening for UFC 300. Yeah. Whenever that was around. But I think that's a very interesting fight. I think it's a fight where Pereira always has a puncher's chance, but I don't think anybody is really in the same mental headspace as Jon Jones. He's just his fight IQ inside the cage. His fight IQ is so smart outside the cage. His IQ isn't necessarily always the greatest.
Life IQ.
That's so funny. Like IQ,
Fight IQ is absolutely next level. The way he can watch people break down fights, and like you saw what he did with Cyril Gane. That's a world champion he just dismantled in like, what was it, 1 or 2 minutes? Just and absolutely just like it was just so effortlessly for him. So I just think it's hard to really compete with Jon Jones, but Pereira has a puncher's chance.
My question for you, G, is do you think Jones is trying to avoid Tom Aspinall with this string of tweets pushing for the Alex Pereira fight? Do you think he really believes it's a bigger fight, or he wants the easier matchup?
I really do. I honestly think it is the bigger fight, and Jon is always the one. I feel like he's typically, especially recently, going for fights that he wants more than like fights that make sense necessarily. He's going for the bigger fights, going for I don't know, the bigger names, and I think really Pereira is the biggest fight to make right now. I think it is bigger than Aspinall.
I'll triple down on that. I think I know we would be so pumped when we see the Max Holloway versus Ilia Topuria fight. I know we are so pumped for Dustin's championship fight. Alex Pieda versus Jon Jones in 2024 is the biggest fight the UFC can make. Like, Alex just main evented UFC 300, got a knockout, got like a meme to it. Like, they're like Alex Pieda can main event any card on this planet. And then you can argue that Jon Jones is the like biggest, best fighter. I need like the lineage behind him. I know he's not pound for pound number one, so say, but like his resume is the greatest probably ever in the UFC history. So like just to match them two, Alex is a 2-weight class champion. He will try to become a 3-weight class champion. There's no bigger fight. Like that fight is insane. And I think, G, where you're going with it, I totally agree. Of course, Alex can knock him out in 40 seconds, but I think Jon Jones will somehow undercut that one check, and he puts Pieta on his back, and he doesn't get up. Like, I think I think it's like, I know it sounds horrible to say. I think it's a horrible matchup for Pieta, like horrible. Like, probably the worst matchup he can get in the UFC in 2024.
I mean, I would go as far to say Jon Jones is a pretty horrible matchup for most people.
Of course,
like she was saying, like he's the GOAT, like he's the best to ever do it, whether we like who he is outside the cage or not. Like he is so elite in the cage. And I agree with everything you said about his fight IQ. My thing with Jon Jones is the way he solidifies rounds. Like something, if you watched every single Jon Jones fight, if there's a close-ish round, Jon Jones does something huge in the last 30 seconds of every round to solidify it. Like he's smart with it in the cage.
And I totally agree with what you said, but I will disagree with one thing. Like Jon Jones versus Ankalaev to me is a harder matchup for Jones than Pieta. And then of course, Jon Jones versus Tom Aspinall is probably the worst matchup because it's someone as big as him. I think can strike with Jon as well. And then of course can be there in the wrestling grappling scenarios. So I do think anyone versus Jon Jones, you can argue he's the best ever. So it's a hard matchup, but like Pieta is a good night, I think, for Jon Jones. A good night.
I would tend to agree. I think Ankalaev, he's a little bit more well-rounded. He has the offensive wrestling. He has the defensive wrestling. I would tend to agree.
Before we get into UFC St. Louis, where two fighters that you have cage time with is fighting on the card. So we'll definitely ask you about that for sure. Three? Who's the third?
Veronica Hardy, JJ Aldrich, and Tabitha Ritchie.
I forgot about Hardy.
And then I have mat time with Tisha Torres. Lots of that. So
you're the expert on this card. We need to have Gigi betting bananas tomorrow.
Hey. There we go. I like it. Before we get into that, did you watch UFC 301? Did you stay up late enough to watch the fights live, or did you catch it the next morning?
What do you think, Dave?
Yeah, the next morning.
Take a good guess here.
Next morning.
I watched them the next morning. I actually stayed up until the co-main event. I fell asleep right before the co-main event. Yeah, so I did good that night.
There we go.
I feel like both the girls' fights lived up to the expectation. Both super exciting fights. That a girl, Ernesta Karatkate, I nailed it right there. She lost to first round she lost. Second round was a very close round. Honestly, could have scored it either way. Third round she came back fighting. I'm like, I just loved her spirit. Absolutely love her as a fighter. I'm just a huge fan. And then the same with Lucindo and Kovalevich. I'm a huge fan of Lucindo as well. She's a little dog. She just comes out there swinging.
She's hella tough.
Oh yeah.
We talked about before you got on. The world was shitted on this pay-per-view. Dude, UFC 300 is the greatest fight night of all time. This is 301. Your main event had Steve Ercik in it. Like, it was just like, whoa. Your co-main event had Jonathan Martinez in it. It was a tough sell. But I thought the fights were incredible. Like, the prelims were awesome. We talked about Mauricio Rufy 9 times already. We loved how good that kid looked. And then Jose Aldo returned from all that time to win. I thought the main event was a great, great fight. I thought literally 6 hours of great fights. I loved that card.
Oh yeah, Mauricio Rufy is the one to talk about there. I'm like, just put on such a performance. Really showed what he's capable of, and I love that whole the Fighting Nerds team. Honestly, I feel like they just they live up to that name. They have a very smart approach to their games, and you can see it in their fight styles. And I really like their team and what I've seen out of it.
I had a super hot take. No, you go.
I think that's where Moises has been training when he goes back to Brazil as well.
Oh, Thiago?
I'm not positive, but I am like 89% sure that's where he goes when he goes home. But I could
89% on the internet. That's a fact.
Don't quote me on that. That's how rumors get started, guys.
Co-captain of the Fighting Nerds. Real quick, I had a hot take earlier, G. They were talking, Maddie and Elle were like, hey, what's next for Jose? He can fight this guy. He can fight this guy. My hot take is that Jose Aldo never fights for the UFC again. I think he will get paid handsomely outside the UFC. There's no more fights on the contract. I was so happy that he won, but my hot take is that I think another promotion PFL, bare knuckle, game bred boxing. So many will overpay for Jose Aldo's services. Am I way off? Do you agree? Do you not agree? Where are you at on Jose Aldo?
I know that he's asking for that title shot, and I feel like that'd be the only way to keep him in the UFC, honestly, is if they do give him that kind of opportunity. Because at the end of the day, it's like that's what everybody wants, is that belt, you know? So I feel like with such a huge opportunity like that, I think he would stay. But otherwise, I agree with you. I don't see a why for him to stay if he's not getting the shots that he wants.
Right.
I just heard that Gillian agreed with me. We're moving on to the next topic. There we go. This is a very good, this is a funny one.
Yes.
Islam.
It's the curse.
Yeah. Okay, I'll talk about it. So break it down.
I didn't cut you off. No. So every time Paulo Costa is on a pay-per-view, the belt changes hands to the dog. Every single time. Which, so I am, of course, being as biased as I am at ATT, being friends with Dustin, of course I am praying that the Paulo Costa curse continues, because how freaking awesome would that be?
Dude, G, I don't know if you saw any of it last week with having Dustin on. It was awesome. And not even that, like, it was really cool. The interview was everywhere. So many other outlets picked it up and talked about it. It was awesome for us here at Fight Bananas. Where are you at on Dustin Poirier fighting for the world championship in 2024?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, this is something I'm like torn on. It's like, I feel like, I don't know why Islam has this thing about him, but every fight he's like the villain. Like I feel like nobody's ever rooting for Islam. Like, he's so good, obviously, but everybody's always like, let's go Oliveira, let's go Poirier, let's go whoever. And I feel like it's kind of the same situation. I want to see Poirier win. I feel like he deserves it. You know, he's a dog in this game. He deserves that opportunity, that shot. But I'm like, Islam just proves it again and again. I feel like how good he is. And just with his wrestling capabilities as well, I definitely think it's a tough fight for Dustin.
Yeah, I will say this is the first time I was rooting against Islam, but I'm a big Islam fan. I love his style.
You're rooting for Islam against Volkanovski too?
I'm like, Islam's just fighting all the like people's champs. He's fighting Volkanovski. He's fighting Oliveira.
Doug's right on the money right there. Don't be silly. Drop the gilly. Finish the story at UFC 302. Hey, Ariel Helwani, you're welcome for my line. Dude, like, Ariel stole it. Come on.
Call us out. Come on. Give Dave some credit, Ariel. We need the quote.
Yeah, we need the quote. All right, let's get into UFC St. Louis. Like I said, Jillian's like literally fought every girl or trained with every girl on this fight night card. There's also great fights apart, like Chase Hooper's on the card. I really like the co-main event. The co-main event's really got my eyes on it. But G, we got you on the show. We would love your take and your points on JJ Aldrich versus Veronica Hardy, and then Baby Shark versus Tisha Pennington, aka Tisha Torres. So take it away.
So first off, the Veronica Hardy and JJ Aldrich, I think this one, there's a huge thing that comes into fight IQ here. I think the Veronica typically, she's a better fighter than what she puts off. She typically makes a lot of just poor fight IQ mistakes, but she's like a very athletic girl, very explosive, got crazy like karate kind of kicks, and especially on the ground. She's the only girl, I think, that to my record, I just remember that whenever she swept me, she was the first person who ever swept me. And I was like, this bitch, like she was just so explosive. Her legs just able to explode off them so much. And I feel like I said, it just comes down to fight IQ for her though. She's such a talented girl, but I think she just makes a lot of poor decisions, where JJ is just kind of more basic, but is smart. JJ knows how to fight smart. She knows how to keep people out at her boxing range, take shots when she needs to. She knows how to win, and JJ's just able to fight smart, and I feel like that's what's going to make her win this fight.
Question on that same area. Like, obviously Veronica was a huge underdog against Jamie Lynn Horth, who's this big prospect coming into the UFC. And I do feel like she fought her very intelligently. Do you feel like she's improved in that area, or do you think the level between Horth and Aldrich is going to be very different?
I think the level is going to be different, and it's just it's like that's where Aldrich shines almost. Is just making good, smart decisions to win
100%.
the fight. You know, so I think that JJ's just going to be able to get away with a decision.
We've seen JJ do really, like, she was doing really well with Erin Blanchfield until she wasn't, you know, like, I agree with you. She's got a really difficult style, I think, to fight. Like, it's really hard to get in on the legs. It's hard to, like, implement your game plan with her.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And I hate to be so naive here. Like, is it because JJ's a southpaw? Am I right? Like, JJ's a southpaw? And, like, sometimes you guys could talk about this way more than I know American Top Team, there's a hub of females, but like at the GOAT, we say this all the time to you, G, like, you sometimes train with a lot of flyweight males and maybe 2 or 3 girls down there, right? Like there's not a ton of girls in some of these gyms, and then JJ's a southpaw. So it's like, how many times do you get to train against a female southpaw, especially in the same weight? Maybe they're a featherweight or maybe they're a Tama weight. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty wild to a 115 southpaw. There's not a lot.
Yeah, just in general, a southpaw.
What?
What'd you call my weight class? A Tama weight? I'm sorry, Dave.
I didn't want to call that out.
Thank you, G. G's a true friend.
It's like a Tama weight. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. Carry on, G. Carry on.
I feel like just the southpaw look in general, boys or girls, it's hard to find. You don't really see a lot of southpaws in a gym in general. And for some reason, the 125 division is filled with them. Like, Veronica Hardy may be a southpaw too. I'm not 100% sure on that. She may be, because I'm like, I just know I fought southpaw after southpaw after southpaw when I was in the 125 division. It was like every fight I had a southpaw. I know Macy Barber was. I know JJ Aldrich was.
Yep. Veronica's a southpaw too.
Veronica's a southpaw. Yeah. So, and even for southpaws, I feel like it's difficult going against a southpaw because they're so used to going with orthodox people.
100%.
But I'm like, I don't know what it is about the 125 division, but I just know that I've had a bunch of fights with southpaws whenever I was a 25er.
Well, and I feel like even if you have a southpaw in your gym, they may not emulate the style you need. Like maybe you're fighting a southpaw striker and you have a really good southpaw wrestler, and like it never quite adds up.
For sure. For sure. The next one on the card, to me, it's a very high level fight. Both of these girls are in that anywhere between 9 and 17 anytime. And it seems like it's wild. Steve Ursay got a title shot of being number 10 and having one flashy knockout. It's, you know, anything's possible now. Baby Shark, Tabitha Ritchie versus, it's so wild. I call her, she's Tisha Torres to me. She will always be Tisha Torres. I know she's Tisha Pennington now, illegally and all that. To me, she's Tisha Torres. It's a different kind of fight. I'm actually really intrigued to see this kind of come out. I think I'm leaning Tisha Torres, to be really honest. But how about you guys?
It's definitely always interesting to see girls come back after giving birth. You know, it's just such a huge thing. Like, I don't know. Obviously, I know nothing about it, but I can only imagine taking like a year off, giving birth, what it takes, like everything. And some girls, it's like Mackenzie Dern came back friggin' on a run, you know? She got that mom strength with her now. So I feel like, I don't know, you get a different person after that. So it'll be interesting to see the Tisha Torres that we do get. But I think both these girls, they know how to draw girls into their style and win a decision. So Tisha knows how to keep it striking, and Tabitha's usually good at landing her takedowns and getting the decision out. But I think that Tisha would be able to keep it on the feet with her. I think this fight goes in Tisha's decision, honestly.
Me too. I'm really spot on that. One thing was so funny when I saw Tisha was on this card, and like I said, I don't know, maybe for me being an outsider, and like we've talked about it probably multiple times during this show, G, about it was 3 years ago or 4 years ago during the COVID era. She already knows exactly where I'm going. All you girls were on one card. You had a big pizza. You took an awesome picture yourself. I believe Hannah Goldie was there, and Tisha, yes. Lauren Murphy was there. Like, it's kind of like one of these cool, iconic pictures of you guys. Like, in a weird way, do you know in the moment, you're like, dude, this is pretty awesome. Like, this is a great night, a special night, a picture that you kind of will have for the rest of your life? Or is it another fight night in the Apex, another Saturday? I'm already getting back to camp on Tuesday. Life happens quick. Is it hard to notice, like, dude, that was a cool moment? Like, is it hard to know that when you're in them?
I don't know. I guess that moment for me, it was just friends kind of, you know?
Yeah.
So it wasn't like thinking of it as like, oh, this is something cool. It was just Tisha, honestly, I was probably 18, 19 years old when I was brought down to work with her at ATT for the first time. So I'm like, I've been working or like been on the mats with Tisha over the last 10 years, you know? And so it was just seeing her as a friend. Lauren Murphy was in the Tough House with me, Hannah Goldie, my best friend, and we didn't know how large a 30-inch pizza was, which is apparently huge.
Yeah. That's a massive pizza.
Oh yeah.
Where were you?
This iconic picture.
We were in Vegas.
Yeah.
And me and Hannah ordered it on Uber Eats. And the Uber Eats driver called us and he was like, can you guys come out and get this? And Hannah's like, yeah, I'll be right out. He's like, you're going to need like 2 people. We're like, what the fuck? We got there. It's like literally taking up the whole back seat of his car. It's huge. We ate like a little bit of it and then we just left it to the rest of the girls. We're like, you guys can have this if you want.
I don't know what to do with this.
Yeah, exactly. It's way too much. Just, you know, that Vegas weed, got a little bit of that in us and then just ordered that pizza and it was just too much.
This, guys, for reference, this is like a 12-inch binder.
Yeah,
like
it's an iconic picture.
I'm telling you, it was huge.
One more thing, and then something funny very towards the end. We'll let you run, G. You mentioned earlier, literally the first or second thing coming on the show. You mentioned, hey, I got something else for social media, normal day in fight camp. Is social media kind of during fight weeks? It's harder. You're more tired. All this stuff. Is it for you, a little bit of a getaway? Let me kind of like get out of fight camp. Let me do a little social media. Or does it become a tad more of a chore, like something I got to do, keep on and keep it going? Because, you know, social media going into a fight week and all that stuff is pretty important. Is social media positive or a negative in these last kind of 5-6 weeks to a fight?
So I feel like I've changed on this as I've gotten older.
Okay.
When I was younger and like, I had looked back at my Instagram then too, and I was like, I was so good at it. What happened? I'm like, I posted all the time. I had great captions. I'm like, I was just so consistent with it, and every day, maybe twice a day, posting, just keeping up on it, and like that's what gets you sponsors in this game and things like that. So it's like I was always really good at that. And then the last couple of years, I've just like gotten so lazy with it, and I just don't want to do it. And like last month, it was my goal where I'm like, I'm going to get good at social media again. And I think there's 2 or 3 weeks where I was posting pretty consistently and then I just fell off again. And now I'm trying to get back again. And it's like, it's just a constant struggle for me to try to post consistently now. But it's like, It is so important, that fan engagement, and it is so important to get sponsors and things like that. So it's like, it's a struggle. I'm just trying to make it work. I'm like, I try to post as often as I can, but I'll post like consistently for a week, then forget about it for 2 weeks completely.
So I get it. It's and then you guys know how much course, time, and effort we have to put in Fight Bananas in it. So it's like, holy crap. Sometimes I do it for Fight Bananas for like a day or day and a half straight. I'm like, oh, I haven't even done my own. Like I was just in Clearwater, Florida. I saw these awesome palm trees. Let me make that post real quick. So it's pretty wild. Last thing for you, we'll let you run. I'm pretty sure, I hope I don't butcher this. I hope I'm getting this right, G. It's in my calendar for some reason. Are we 10 days away from something a little special for Gillian Robertson?
She's like, what?
We might be.
All right, good. I didn't butcher it. I'm
like, I don't know what's today's date, but we might be.
Okay, so there we
go. 17th.
All right. We got a birthday coming up on the Fight Bananas family side. Hopefully we'll see you next Tuesday. It will be a birthday show for G. If not, happy birthday, G. You're the best. 1 year wiser, 1 year smarter. Not even close to my age. So we'll
1 year closer to 30.
How are you going to celebrate the in fight camp birthday?
We're waiting till post fight camp. In fight camp, we don't do anything.
Right. We're not even celebrating my birthday in Grant's fight camp because I'm in May too. I'm the 24th. I'm like a week after you.
So. Happy almost birthday too then.
Birthday to you. Yeah, we're going to do mine after Grant's fight too. It's just not going to happen.
Sean's got a good question for you, G. Jillian, when are you going to come out with your own cannabis line?
That's the real goal, honestly. I'm like, I'm already thinking about it. I just need to wait till the opportunity comes.
Self-promotion, sponsors, diet, training, self-care, making weight. Fighters are a different animal. For sure, Doug. For sure. Well,
that's why she's savage.
About that, yeah, that's the nickname is very fitting. G, you're the best. We appreciate you. Appreciate your time. I cannot wait. UFC St. Louis. Hopefully, who you want to win in those 2 female fights happen for you. And we'll talk, if not next week. If not, happy almost birthday, Gillian Savage Robertson.
I'll see you guys next week.
Sounds good. Later, G.
Thanks,
You're the best. Wow, Sean's got to go with Savage Smoke.
Savage Smoke. Sean's already branding it for you, G.